Hi there, Kim Carter here, and it's time for another episode of Babblicious, the series where I talk to you off-script about things and people that I like. I am going to finish up my little mini-series about other ASMRtists that I love by doing a little roundup of the rest of the guys that I kind of have on my watch list, that I enjoy their work and I'm listening semi-regularly or getting to know them, and I just want to tell you about them because they're awesome. The first one I'm going to mention is Darien Audio. Darien is doing quite well for himself, racking up the subscribers, and he does a wide variety of audios. Like I said before, some artists find a niche or a theme that they want to stick to, and some just do it all, and Darien is definitely the latter. He does comfort, he does yandere, he does a lot of fantasy. He does a lot of really fantastical themed ones. He also does more real-world action-adventure type things, slice of life, you name it, he does it. And I think that he just continues to improve and grow, and it's really exciting to watch. So I did talk some about accents and whatnot when I did my episode about Aussie Ben, so I have to mention that here, because Darien has a really beautiful accent. Now, the funny thing about his accent is that when I first heard him, which was as a bad guy in one of Cardlin's audios, the third episode of the Espionage series, I just assumed that he was Eastern European. I'm like, this guy is Russian or something, like that is what he sounds like. In fact, somewhere in the comments, I think on one of his own videos on his channel, someone even said he sounds like a Bond villain. And I totally get it. But here's the fascinating thing about the human brain. It's interesting the way things can change when you have context. So on one of his videos, someone asked Darien where he is from, and he answered that he is Argentinian. And my mind was kind of blown. I was like, what? No way. But when I went back and listened again with that knowledge in mind, then I could hear it. And I just have to give... Darien is the only one I'm going to talk about, to my knowledge today, that English isn't his first language, obviously. So just mad props to you, man. Like, this is hard enough to do in your native tongue. Never mind doing it in a tongue that is not your own. So you're really, really good at this. And just keep doing what you're doing, because you're awesome. And don't ever be self-conscious about your accent, because it is working, man. Like, it does. We like it. Keep going. I would say that my favorite audios of Darien's, I'm going to name two series of his that I really enjoyed. Number one is The Reluctant Guardian, which is where he plays a demon who is basically, through magical means, has been conscripted to become a guardian angel. And that series is just fantastic. I absolutely love it. And the other that I'll mention is where he is a bodyguard, and that series is called Desperate Times, Desperate Measures. Because that's just, like I've said, action-y, hurt comfort type stuff is my jam, so of course that one is going to be way up there for me. In fact, I am behind on that series, so I need to catch up pronto. Darien does have a Patreon that you can access. I am currently on there at one of the lower levels, and my timing was good because at the level I'm at, you get a personalized birthday message from Darien on your birthday at this level. And that was just so sweet, and I asked him to use my real name, and he did, and it was just lovely to get. I had been planning on doing that anyway, of joining his Patreon, but the timing of it was just really fortuitous, and you can hear how much I'm smiling. That made me really, really happy. He does have Not Safe for Work audios as well on his Patreon. I have not heard them yet, so I can't comment on that, but I'm sure they're delicious. So check it out and support him because he's great and I can't wait to see where he's going to go next. So moving on, The next artist that I want to give a shout out to is notwhorosethinks, aka Todd. And I was introduced to Todd, as many people were, when he did a massive collaboration with Cardlin. They ended up doing 3 audios together. And so that was 2 guys with female listener, and it was so good. It was absolutely delicious. And I was even nervous clicking on it because I'm like, am I gonna like this guy's voice? And then, he said 2 words, and I'm like, yes, I do like his voice very much, thank you. Todd has a very deep voice, so that goes well when he's collaborating with Cardlin, because Cardlin is a little bit more mellow. So in those audios, I think the 2 of them made a great pair, because I think, if you have 2 guys where their voices are too similar, that wouldn't have worked as well as this did. But anyway, I'm not going to go on and on about the collaboration. I did then go seek out Todd and his channel, and he is a lot more active on Reddit. So you definitely want to check that out, and he has a Patreon as well, because he makes a lot of not safe for work content, at least currently. According to his Tumblr, in the future that is going to be changing, which is fine, that's his prerogative, and whatever he does it really amazingly. He is super talented and an amazing actor. He mostly improvises his scripts, so that is a little bit of a different feel when you're switching between artists, and I think if you have that in your mind, or maybe even if you don't, you're going to notice the difference. So, as I was saying, he is branching out to doing more safer work audios, especially on his YouTube channel, which is smart, given all the restrictions on YouTube and YouTube cracking down on not safe for work content. So that does make sense. And he does really interesting things, because Todd, just let me clarify, does not do boyfriend experience, whereas everyone else I've talked about in this series does. He is the only one who doesn't. Actually, there might be one more who doesn't, but we'll see. I'll have to check. Anyway, so that actually kind of opens things up for him so that he gets really creative with his safe for work stuff. He did this, I forget if it was a superhero. Yeah, it was a superhero type one where they're trapped in a factory or something that's about to explode, and it's just him talking to the listener, who's also a hero, basically being you screwed up and I'm gonna save us all by getting killed in this explosion, get out of here. And it was, oh god, he acted the hell out of it. It was so good. But he does really creative, interesting audios, because there's a lot of repetition sometimes in the boyfriend experience stuff, because listeners want to hear that same thing. Oh, you had a nightmare. Oh, you're pregnant. Oh, let's get back together. Oh, let's cuddle. That kind of thing. All of that is gone. And what Todd chooses to replace it with is really interesting. So I really enjoy hearing what he comes up with. And like I said, he is super talented. When you check out his not safe for work stuff, it's very good. It's certainly really hot. And he definitely will delve into darker themes, so if that's what you're into, you're going to be very happy listening to that. He does do DDLG-themed not safe for work and safe for work audios, so you get the best of both worlds there. And not that I want to go around comparing all of these artists against each other. The only other thing that I want to say, Todd is amazing. He's very dedicated to what he does, and he's just recently gone full-time, quit his job to do this, which is great. All I'm going to warn you about is if you are joining his fan community, that it's a very different experience than any of the others. Todd is a very, how do we put this? I mean, I think if you just listen to him a little bit, or you listen to the times that he's streamed with Cardlin on his channel, on Cardlin Casual, you're going to notice Todd is not like a soft and cuddly guy. That's like the best way that I can put it. So he is there to give you the art, to give you the audios. And I don't know that he's really interested in getting cozy with fans beyond that. So just keep that in mind when you're joining his Discord or commenting on his Tumblr or whatever. It's just a different experience. Not that that matters just in terms of the audios, but I have been talking about Patreon communities and Discord servers and all of that because, like it or not, that is all wrapped together in the fan experience. So I'm just letting you know, as somebody who's been in all these different communities, this one's a little bit different. So, moving on, I want to give a little shout out to YuuriVoice, another one I was introduced to through Cardlin. And Yuri is also different from everybody else that I've talked about because Yuri does a lot of impressions. Or I don't know if that's how I want to put it. He voices existing characters. He has his own set of original characters as well that he uses that are really cute and adorable, and he also does a lot of anime-themed voices. And he does them really, really well. Way back in an earlier episode, I talked about how there are some guys, or some artists who have amazing voices, and they almost don't even need to do anything with them. I actually would put Darien in that category. Like, just amazing voice, almost doesn't even have to do anything, could probably read a phone book to you and you'd be happy. Nobody has phone books anymore. Anyway, Yuri is the other way around. There's nothing wrong with Yuri's normal voice, but he does amazing things with it. For somebody like Ben or Cardlin, they are always Ben or Cardlin in their videos. Like, that's their character who goes through different iterations, but mostly with some variation, sounds somewhat the same. They always sound like themselves. Yuri throws all that out the window. Yuri embraces all these different characters, is always a different character in his videos, and sounds completely different. So I really admire that. He is really versatile and really good at it. Most of the guys I've talked about in my listing here do not do that. Easton can do it a little bit with some of his higher pitched voices that he does. Yuri is the most dramatic example of that. And the one that I was most impressed by was his Lotor voice from Voltron Legendary Defender. I listened to that, and having heard Yuri's sort of like normal speaking voice, I was like, there's no way he could do Lotor. Boy, was I wrong. And I was happy to be proven wrong. He nailed it. Absolutely killed it. So I was really impressed by that. And I've also been enjoying hearing him on Tinkles and Dragons, which is Cardlin, Yuri, Shadowy, Morrigan Audio, and Madam Wigglesworth, along with Samurai the Bard as their DM, playing Dungeons & Dragons together. And if you haven't checked it out, you really need to. It is so much fun. It is so entertaining to listen to, and Sam is a fabulous DM. So definitely check that out. But I've been utterly charmed by listening to Yuri on that, and I definitely want to go and check out more of his stuff, and that's why I included him in my little roundup here. Next guy I want to talk about is Shadowy Whispers. Shadowy, wow, where do I even start? I like this roundup that I'm doing today because I feel like these guys that I'm talking about all go about this very differently. Shadowy's channel is a bit more, well, especially given the name, is a little bit more of a dark theme. Shadowy does a lot of sci-fi and fantasy themed audios, and he just does them so, so well. He also, like Yuri, has characters, recurring characters that he has created, and sometimes even lengthy series that he has them go on their adventures in, which makes for fantastic listening when you just want to get wrapped up and taken away. The one that I listened to first was his werewolf series, and he just did a fantastic job with that. Shadowy has a very deep voice, but he can bring it even further down than his normal speaking voice to create these different characters. And I really enjoyed the voice that he created for Micah, the werewolf character. I skipped around when listening to that one, just because I was kind of trying to get to more the action-y part of it, and I skipped some of the relationship building, but I do plan to go back and listen to it now that I'm more used to his voice and his characters, and I just want to get caught up in the lore. And that's something that Shadowy is really passionate about, is creating this lore and this universe, which he calls the Shadowverse, for his characters. And apparently, all the different series are actually connected and take place in the same universe. So that's a lot of fun to play with. The series of his that I really got hooked on was his Black Noir detective series. Now that just has my name written all over it. I haven't talked about that yet, but I love all things film noir. I really do. Like fedoras and Venetian blinds and black and white movies and gruff detectives. Oh, give me all of that. Give it all to me because I am all about it. And the character that he created for that, Murphy, this, down on his luck, gruff detective, is just fabulous. Shadowy absolutely kills that voice and just embodies him so well. So do check that out. And I feel like not that it matters, but I feel like it's sort of it's not his like blockbuster series. I feel like some of his other series, especially his werewolf and dragon audios, get more hits. So it's like this little hidden gem on his channel. Don't miss it because it really is good. What he, I think, had his breakthrough on was his dragon audios. So if that's your thing, definitely check it out. Very fantastical, kind of high fantasy. And his Demon Knight series seems to be that way as well. He also has a series called the Android Chronicles, where he is playing an android that comes to life and is kind of slowly becoming more human. I am currently catching up on that, and that is actually a Patreon exclusive series. So he does have these unique Patreon rewards. He'll put teasers of them on YouTube, but if you want the full story, you got to become a patron. And it's a really interesting series, and I'm catching up on it now, and I'll tell you why, which is because Shadowy asked me to be in the second season, I guess you would say, of the Android Chronicles Syndicate. So when that comes along, you will be hearing me as Lana. So I'm thrilled and honored to be a part of that. Shadowy is very good at crafting universes and stories where you can get all wrapped up in it and taken away. The last one I'm going to mention is someone who is just starting out. He has just over 1,000 subscribers at this point, and this is kind of a terrible name. Sorry, man. This is, his name is Weeb Trash. So, I get it. I get that that's like an anime thing or whatever. This guy came out of nowhere. I think he just showed up in my recommendations, and I clicked on it, and it was an audio where the listener has basically been injured on a seemingly futuristic battlefield, and he comes to the rescue and gets them out of there. Right up my alley, right? That's just the kind of thing that I love to listen to. And I'm thinking when I clicked on it, I'm like, oh, this doesn't have that many views. Like, I don't know what I'm expecting. I was blown away. Not only is this guy a very good actor, the sound effects and sound editing that he put into this was absolutely top quality. Like, way to make a fantastic first impression and just hit it right out of the gate. I was really, really impressed, and I continue to be as I check out his stuff. he is going to be uploading more regularly. That is his plan, which is awesome. And I can't wait to see what this guy does, because I commented on one of his videos. I'm like, where have you been hiding? This was fantastic. So I just can't wait to see what he does. And he, at the moment, seems to be mostly themed around that kind of like action-adventure type of audios, which is what I love listening to, so I'm thrilled with that. And it'll be interesting to see if he decides to add some boyfriend experience type stuff in. I'm sure he could probably do it. Only, matters whether or not he wants to. So I guess we'll find out. But I wanted to include him in this list with these guys that have, a lot of subscribers, because I just think that he's going somewhere. I think he's really great. So definitely check him out and help his channel grow. I don't believe he has Patreon yet, but I know he has something else where you can contribute financially if you want to. So check out his YouTube channel for information on that. All right, so I think that is my little roundup of ASMRtists that I wanted to talk about. In the future, I may do this again when I discover, which I'm sure I will discover, more people along the way, because this is a community that is currently growing and evolving. For example, boyfriend audio that I talked about maybe a couple months ago just celebrated his 1-year anniversary. And in a year, he has gathered 55,000 subscribers. That is insane. So I think that speaks to two things, though. Number one, the fact that he's really, really good and has that super deep voice that is drawing people in and giving them what they want to hear. And, obviously speaks to his skill as an actor and a writer and all of that. But number two, I think it also speaks to the growing popularity of this art form. I don't know, I would have to ask him. I don't know how many followers Cardlin had at the 1-year mark, but as he is 4 years in and is only, I say only, and is at 150,000, I would guess that he probably wasn't at that same number, and I think it's probably because he and other people that started at the same time as him helped pave the way and increased the popularity of this. So Kay is amazing, but I think he's had a leg up from all of that, which is fabulous. I always want more people to find this and more people to start doing it so that we can tell different kinds of stories and connect with more people, help with more people, and just get out there and create all of the things. It's really exciting. So I do have some plans about what I want to babble about next, so be sure to keep an eye on my channel to see what that's going to be. But that does round up, for now, my list of ASMRtists that I love. Catch you next time.